Thank you, Francesca. It's a great pleasure to see you all here again today. We were just preparing, well, actually, I'm not preparing, Francesca and Camilla were preparing for this workshop. And we realized that in less than 2 years, this is our 6th webinar. So it definitely qualifies for what we proposed 2 years ago, that was a Comms Lab. So this is the sixth webinar in the series. We have done we have tackled diverse issues, and now we're going back to one of what I also consider fundamental, storytelling. We all talk about stories. We all talk about the impact of stories. You as comms people are urging the project people to go more into storytelling rather than reporting the events per se or the activities per se. So I'm very happy to be opening this webinar, the 6th webinar in our series. I'm very happy to see this community of communications officers getting stronger and having stronger links and responding to our requests, not only for contributions and the news bulletin, which has evolved over these past 2 years from like very brief pieces to a very extended newsletter every month, but also the engagement that you have in these activities. I'm positive that you will find this truly exciting. This will be an exciting content. If you can just mute your mics if you're not speaking. And I truly hope you will enjoy. I will be here following because we all want to learn, from storytelling. A big thanks to my team, to Francesca for leading this, and even bigger thanks to our contributors. Thank you for agreeing to being with us today and to sharing your expertise and your knowledge. This is what IWL is about, and we are committed to providing the best value, but we only exist because you connect with us. So please keep connecting, and see you at the end of this workshop. Over to you, Francesca.
Hello. Thank you, Konstantina, for the presentation, for the introduction to the presentation. I have here the PPT. Can you all see it? I'll just put in presentation mode. Yeah? Is it all good? Perfect. This is a good start. So after this, mission 1 accomplished. Then a little bit of housekeeping, and I'll let my colleague Camilla tell you about the rules of how we usually run these online webinars. Hello, Camilla.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So many of you might already know me. My name is Maria Camila Leon, and I support IWL in knowledge management and communications. I'm just going to give you some housekeeping rules before to start. So please keep your microphone mute unless you are speaking. As you might already note that this session is being recorded, and we'll update all the materials, the slides, and the recording in the IWL website. We will send you an email with the conclusions and the link to get all the materials as soon as it's available. And last but not least, please engage, use the Q&A for questions, react, raise your hands, use the chat for feedback and comments, and let's try to keep it as interactive as possible. So with that all said, I give now the floor to my colleague, Francesca, who will deliver today's webinar, and I remain available for support you all through the webinar. Thank you. Over.
Okay, the microphone was muted. Probably the most common sentence said across the last 3 years. Anyway, yes, thank you, Camilla, for the rules. So exactly, there's not a huge crowd, so we can keep it very comfortable, this webinar. Ideally, I will finish my presentation within half an hour from now, and then I'll give the floor to the real stars of this webinar, who are Emmanuel, Orange, and Sirin, who will present how they deliver the storytelling in their own projects. and then if we have time, I hope we do have it. We have a little bit of an exercise at the end, and of course time for Q&A. Okay, if not, of course we are available by email and WhatsApp. You know, there's all sorts of ways to get in touch with us. Okay, and without further ado, now, when was the last time you told a story? I know many of us actually tell stories without even realizing we tell stories, and we tell them all the time. It could be to a good friend of ours, it could be to our parents, it could be to our work colleagues. Sometimes we think, oh God, telling a story, am I a storyteller? Do I tell stories? Well, you do. You don't realize it, but you do tell stories all the time. For instance, let's see if any of this resonates with you. The other day I went to a coffee shop. I asked for a normal cappuccino, a simple coffee, and the bartender looked at me in the eyes and said, but do you want a double shot of coffee in your cappuccino? And I was like, did she notice my baggy eyes, or why is she asking me this? But anyway, okay, you know what? Yes, let's have it, because actually I stayed up all night yesterday because of the neighbors were making noise, or, you know, the baby was crying all night, so I actually didn't sleep. So yes, let's have a double shot of coffee. Now you kind of feel almost compelled to give a reason why. Or perhaps this morning, maybe this morning you arrived late at work because you forgot your laptop at home, or because you got stuck in a traffic jam. You don't, I mean, there's many ways we can tell stories, as you can tell. Or perhaps you are at the till at the shop and you just dropped in, you know, you quickly went into the shop to get a loaf of bread and you left your car badly parked. You know, most likely you will get a fine if you spend more than 5 minutes into the shop. So you kindly ask other people in the queue and say, hey, do you mind if I, you know, skip the queue because I parked my car badly, and I don't want to get a fine. Or perhaps at a job interview. All of us have to tell a story at a job interview. We have to tell a story in which we are the protagonists, of course, and we have to say it in a way that matches expectations of the recruiter. And you have to then shape our story accordingly, right? We may not say the same story depending on what job we're applying for. Or perhaps at the beach. You remember that one time that you went to that specific spot to the beach, there was very windy, the currents were strong, you went in, you dived in, and then the currents actually took you away, and you had the worst 15 seconds of your life. You kind of don't know where you are once you kind of get up, you lost your bikini, you don't know what happened. So what do? You warn your friend, you tell them, hey, don't go there because, you know, this happened to me once in that specific spot, so, you know, don't do it. And why do we tell stories? So you see, like we tell stories all the time. And why do we tell them? Well, it could be to persuade others. It could be to provide context to something we're saying. It could be part of a teaching experience. It could be that we want to provide support or evidence, or we just want to entertain. There's many and multiple reasons why we tell stories, but the thing is that there's always a reason why we say it. And again, going back to the examples I told you earlier, so in some of them I was actually, you know, warning and teaching, for instance, about, you know, do not swim in that specific spot because of this, or when you at a job interview you want to persuade, or you want to provide evidence if you, for instance, forgot your laptop at home, etc., or provide context. Now, the reason why we tell stories in a nutshell are many. Some of them are, you know, we use them as motivational tools. So by telling them, we make sure that, you know, we have a good character and we want the audience to connect with the character. If we have the audience connect with the character, most likely we also manage to make a pedagogical story. Maybe some of you recall Aesop, like a Greek writer from the 6th century before Christ, who was using animals as protagonists of his own stories. And at least in Italy, where I was raised, we used those stories to you know, to showcase and to teach morals to kids, to children. Do not do this because of this. Or, you know, stories are fun. You know, when you tell a good story, people usually want to know what happens next. They're social tools. Indeed, they help humans connect. You kind of connect with what this person is saying. They kind of create a bond, they attract. Therapeutic. Some stories can actually help you heal. Maybe there's been a loss, or there's been a sort of little tragedy in your life. And hearing another story can actually have a therapeutic effect. And indeed, memorable, which is kind of one of the keys for us at this point, in which all we want to say is that indeed, when you showcase maybe some numbers on some facts and data alone, without too much of a context, these facts and data, no matter how striking these facts and data are, they're just not, they don't stick to you, they don't stick with you. You kind of like, you may hear like impressive numbers, but it kind of just, you forget about them, or you don't really pause too much and think about them. You do think about them when you transform these numbers into the story of a certain person. Especially today, I mean, this is sad to say, but like there's so many wars happening. Maybe if we see the big numbers, we don't really connect with them. But if you do hear the story of a certain person that happened to to lose his parents and, now only have a little teddy bear to hang on, then, we kind of connect and feel a bit more connected to that specific human being in this case. How does it happen? This is actually science. This is the all part of our scientific approach we have. So when we hear a story, we release what we call the happy chemicals. We release oxytocin and dopamine mainly. These chemicals are linked to empathy, trust, and curiosity. When we produce curiosity through the oxytocin and dopamine specifically, we automatically, create some satisfaction the moment the story ends. And there's so what do I mean by this? That we want to hear then the rest of the story. We want to stay, we're hooked from the beginning when we start creating this oxytocin and dopamine to the very end when the story actually resolves. So a good trick, of course, is to make your story very interesting from the very beginning, because if you want to catch your audience from the very beginning by creating those happy chemicals immediately. Now, this is a very short video. I will share a few seconds of this. But if possible, in the chat, I would love it if people started writing down what they see in this short video. Let me see if this works. Please work. Is it working? No. And this is when technology, of course, yesterday it worked. Why does it not now? Oh no, this makes me very sad. And now I got stuck. Are you guys seeing the white screen I see too?
Yes, just the white screen.
Oh, nice. Okay, let me maybe start sharing again because I don't see this is going any further. Sorry. Compartir. Okay. Let me see if it works. If I do it like this for now, do you see it? No.
No, the same.
Still white?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Fine. Never mind. It just means my presentation will not be as long as I thought it would be. Okay, and now it's still white?
This is still white.
Okay, espera, I'm going to start again. Okay.
Now it's still the same.
But now I'm sharing another slide. So this is what. Okay, so share. Done. Nothing. This video messed up the whole presentation. How is this possible? Okay. Oop. No? No, I don't see it either. Camila, can we test one thing?
Yes, I can try to share the presentation.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Because it doesn't look like I can share any page at this point.
It's fine. I will try to share.
Okay, thank you, Camila.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
And then you see the video?
Yeah. Not playing, but...
Okay, so we move with the next one?
Yeah, we move with the next
because
one.
the video is not working.
No, maybe this is what is messing up the whole. Now
Yes.
it's okay. Thank you, Camilla. Yeah, for some reason my presentation stopped, decided to go on strike.
No worries.
Okay, so what is a story at the end of the day? I picked this quote after reading many quotes that describe what a story is, and this one for some reason I really liked. So a story is about how the things that happen affect someone in pursuit of a difficult goal, and how that person changes internally as a result. In this sentence, we have then a mention to the plot. So the things that happen affect someone, that someone will be the protagonist. And then how the protagonist, or, that someone changes internally as a result. So that is what the story is actually about, the change of that internal person internal to the story. Okay, Camilla? Maybe I can actually change. Okay, so the most common structure of a story, again, talking about the Greeks. So what Aristotle taught us many centuries ago, we have here what is the so-called three-story act. So we have the setup, the confrontation, the resolution. In very simple words, the beginning, the middle, and the end. In the beginning, we have, of course, this is where we kind of show what is happening, show the location, the place, the time. We kind of prepare the grounds, we prepare the grounds for the audience to know what's happening and where. The confrontation is when also the what is happening gets a bit complicated. And then the resolution is when those complications kind of find a solution. They kind of reach the end of the story. Yes, Camilla? When drafting then the structure of a story, what we want to do is to go within the 5 W's, as we so call them, of storytelling. We want to start with the when. We want to answer all of these questions. So first, before actually jotting down a full story, we want to answer those 5 questions. First one being when. So when is the story taking place? Is it in the present? Is it in the past? Is it in the future? Who does it refer to? Is it who is the protagonist? We need to have someone with a name, someone we can, have our audience empathize with. If without it, of course, to create empathy and to create emotion in the audience is very difficult. The what. So then here we want to focus on what happens to the protagonist. What are the events in the story? It's indeed important to tell facts that shape it. Otherwise, of course, the audience will get lost. Where? Going back a little bit to the when, in terms of the context, we want to showcase, we want to say specifically where is this taking place, as well as when, as I was saying earlier. Is it going to be indoors, outdoors, in a city, in a town, etc. And the why. The why is actually very important. Is basically, it kind of summarizes a little bit the plot. So why is the protagonist doing what he's doing? What are the objectives? What are the motivations? What are his or her goals? Otherwise the character will be incredibly flat. Yes, Camilla, please. And then summarizing, in order to have a very good story, these are the 7 elements you can make sure you tick when drafting it. So of course, first is the story, in the sense that we need to follow this 3-act structure. It has to be intriguing if possible. It needs to be informative, interesting, entertaining. It needs to be, the more authentic it is, the most likely the people can connect with it. It should include details. We don't need to include a huge amount of details, but we need to give enough to give the context, as you were saying earlier. If there's a plot twist, even better. And characters, of course, if it's someone we can empathize with, great. And if there's conflict and tension, then we can generally be hooked to the story because we were curious to see how that story really evolves. Yes, Camilla, please. And very briefly then, we saw a little bit what a story is and what is storytelling. So storytelling actually is the art of narrating stories. It's an ancient art form as well. It's something that creates emotions and feelings. It's a form of human expression. But what storytelling really does is, once we have the story in our heads, we'll see later how this is structured, we want to transform it into something that is then appreciated by the audience. So the way we structure it in our head, the way we organize facts and events in our head, it will be different to how we want to tell them to someone else. And I'll show you this in a second. Okay, Camilla? Here's some tips to deliver great project stories. Okay. Here is, I don't know how many of you are familiar with The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. Hopefully many of you. I think it's a very good TED Talk. Like all TED Talks are good, but this one specifically has been running around, Simon said it, did it about 10 or 15 years ago even, and it's still one of the top views amongst TED Talks. And what Simon did specifically is that he decoded, as he said, he decoded the speeches of many great leaders across the centuries. And what he noticed is that what made them very special is that they start with the why. So usually when we speak, we easily fall into the what, what we do. Yeah, basically everyone knows what we do as a company, as an organization, as a person. What we find a little bit more complicated is the how we do it. And what we find very hard is the why we do it. Emphasis on the fact that when we talk about why we do things, or why we do a specific job, or why we produce a specific product, is not because it creates money or it creates an income. Okay, that's an outcome of the whole process, but the why refers back to the motivation. If we have this motivation clear, that is when, again, we connect with the people, we connect with the audience. And this is something that is very much key in storytelling. We need to have this why very much embedded in our brains. Okay, next. And we did this exercise with IWL Learn. So what we do conferences, we do webinars, we do workshops. We created a knowledge platform in which all of your documents and key results are showcased. However, this is not very much specific to IWL Learn. You can probably find other organizations that do this. What makes us different is the why. So why we do it, IWL Learn exists to strengthen the impact of the portfolio by connecting you all and amplifying your results and ensuring your knowledge is shared across borders. This is our motivation. This is what kind of motivates us, and this is particular to just IWL Learn. Okay. And briefly also, another technique which is very interesting is the bottom-up and top-down approach in terms of storytelling. Now, this is a method that was created by Barbara Minto, who was an ex-McKinsey consultant. What she did is, like, one day after, seeing some other consultants presenting key results and key ideas and key solutions to their clients, she could visibly see that the clients were getting very bored. Why is that? She kept thinking about it. How come they're bored when actually the whole presentation is there and the results were there also in the presentation? She noticed that the problem was in the order of facts, something I also mentioned a little bit earlier. So she noticed that the consultants were presenting, the background information first, like, for example, when a company began, how it developed over the years, some of the key results of the company. But actually, the key information, which was the challenges that the company was having and the solutions that the consultants found for the company, they left at the very end of the presentation. And that's actually what you want to have at the beginning of the presentation. So she reversed the order. So from bottom up, which is how we think from general to specific, she changed the logic from top down. So from specific, from the actual important information to then the generic information. And this is just an example you can see on the slide of, when you go to your boss and say, hey, I deserve a raise because I brought in clients, I'm a team builder, I upgraded my skills, and then you present all the data. Instead of going, from all the data to then the key messages, to then the conclusion, which maybe by that time your boss has actually switched off, they may be not paying too much attention about all your achievements. But what you want to show first is actually what motivates you to be there talking to your boss first. So you show that both of you are fully awake and are fully aware of what the request is. Okay, Camilla? And here's an example, which again is very popular. Maybe some of you already are familiar with this letter from Lucy. And it goes, Dear Shirley, remember last Saturday afternoon when I was playing in the park with my boyfriend and you came over and he told me that when my back was turned, you kissed him? And also on Sunday when you came to my house and my mom made you a tuna fish salad for lunch and you said, yeah, that's the worst salad I ever ate. And yesterday when my cat brushed against your leg, you kicked her and threatened to sick your dog Monster on her. Well, for all these reasons, I hate you and I no longer want to be your friend, Lucy. But then if you go to the next slide, please, Camilla, we see that actually if we reverse the order, so dear Shirley, I hate you. And here are my reasons. You stole my boyfriend, you insulted my mother, and you scared my cat. Now, what we put here first, it was like a little bit like the I deserve the race type of sentence, is what we call the governing thought. We put that first, and then all the reasons and all the supportive, the information that support that thought after. So this is a good way to structure also your story because you put your hook, the so-called governing thought first. Okay, Camilla, please. Thank you. And this is just it's showcasing how we then think. So we think bottom up, but then how we communicate is bottom down, what we just saw in the previous slides. Okay, next. And very briefly, this is how we then deliver the sequence of facts. So here you can see an example again with IWL Learn. So how do we humanize text, which is the key when it comes to storytelling? We want to humanize it, we want to connect, we want to create empathy, we want to spark curiosity, remember? So for example, if we start with, okay, water connects us all. Managing shared waters is difficult. Okay, so the Jeff projects address all of these issues. Great. Since 1999, IWL Learning has been doing this. Okay, very good. Maybe by this point, I already lost some of you. And then there's hundreds of projects that work on this, Great. But then there's Blanca. Then Blanca comes in. She's a project coordinator in Latin America. And she's used our training courses to improve how she communicates her project results. And this secured the fact that her team of people, remember that teams are made of people, companies are made of people, organizations are made of people, secured the funding for their next project on the river basin. So what you want to do is, of course, you think first, okay, water is managing water management is hard, but then what you want to do is you want to start with Blanca. So you reverse the order. Instead of going from 1 to 6, you go from 6 to 1, and it makes perfect sense. And for sure, you will probably capture more attention of people. They'll probably stick with you towards the end. At least the key information of what you managed to do and to respond again to the why your organization exists, it's all very much summarized in this sentence when you talk about Blanca, someone you can really identify yourself with. Okay, Camilla? And then some final thoughts before I give the floor to the stars of this webinar. Some mistakes that people make in storytelling. Unfortunately, we don't go too much into details. We need them in order to kind of picture the story a little bit better. There's no conflict, making the story very much flat. We dehumanize the story. In the end, as I was saying, like projects and organizations are nothing without the people that are part of them. So we should focus on the people. They're monotonous, the lack of hooks, especially we want this hook at the beginning, as I was telling you, and they're too abstract. So any presentation, any story, when we talk about these words, which I don't particularly love, like synergies and cooperation, but then they're very much abstract if we don't give an actual example. No, if you don't, what does the synergy mean really, So, okay, in this context, it means this. This happened, something concrete I can visualize. Okay, Camilla. And some final tips. So yes, give your story a context, give your character names, get into descriptions, use the fiction tools. So as I said, maybe your story doesn't necessarily follow the pattern of like, okay, what happens in the beginning, in the middle, at the end, but you can transform it. So storytelling is the act also of transforming the story you have into something that the audience wants to listen to. And then add visualization techniques such as metaphors, similes, and examples. You would be surprised about how much our brain opens up when we hear as an example, and then we're like, okay, now I can actually understand what you're saying and what you're talking about. Okay, Camilla? And I think this is it. This is it from my side. It's a shame about the video. I'm sorry about the little mishap. But now I give the floor to Emmanuel.
Hello, good morning to everyone. Well, good morning here in Latin America. I'm based in Guatemala. I'm from Colombia. I am the knowledge management and communication specialist for the foster water security in the Trifinio region. We work with Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. And thank you very much, Francesca, Camila, and Constantine for the invitation. Next. So, well, this first slide, I want to highlight this. When you see the voice of water, and this is something very important for us. We given to the water the power to talk. So we work and we try to humanize the water. But when we say that, the real thing that we want to do is to talk through the people who are the beneficiaries of our project here in the region. So the picture that you see here, her name is Modesta. She lives in a very rural and indigenous community, but she right now became one of the most powerful women that I know. So what we try to tell to the people is, through our project, we can improve and we can empower the people in the territories. So next. So how we tell the story? We have three different kind of things. The first theme is shaping the story. First, we're talking about the personal transformation, and we see Miss Modesta as an indigenous woman. She's a mother of four, and for many years she don't have safety water. She have to pay a lot of water, but also the people who live in the region face a lot of illness because they don't drink potable water. And one of the things that we are doing in the project is to give them filters. So we play with that. We play with one role, but also we say that filters have an innovative instrument to improve the life for a better care. So, well, that's the first thing. She represents innovation, but also to represent human transformation in the territories. So that's the way that we try to tell to the people that filter represent a change of behavior of the people through the person who is recognizing at the territory. So, well, that's the first thing that we try to do when we tell the story to the people. Next. Well, as I say, three different kind of level. Personal transformation. Modesta right now with the filter, she have potable water, healthcare, but also she don't spend a lot of money buying potable water. The second thing is community impact. So we don't only think about, well, this is the thing that we have here. We work with three different countries, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, and all the time we have to tell the story about the three different countries. So the other thing is to link what happened with Modesta as the protagonist of the story, but also she is linking with another woman in the region. So we have another one in Guatemala who produce cheese with that water that is filtered right now. So we also have in Honduras another woman who told the story about how she can save more money. So we have one protagonist, and then we link it with the other two voices in the region who tell to the people that that filter can be a really huge change of life for them. Next. And something important is that we all the time do this. In the narrative, we put this, the personal level, but also data. No, that's very important for us as well, because we are not talking just to the people in the region. We are talking to everyone in the world. So if we say that all the illness that they faced before because they don't have potable water reduced 26%, that's a very powerful data for them as well. So connecting and interviewing. So when we say that, we go to the territory and we have this approach with the people. Well, first as all, I really highlight that me as a communication as knowledge management specialist, I really be involved in the project. So I am the one who go to the people, to the communities, and give them the filters. So I'm being part of the project. So they see me as part of the project. So that's the first thing that can give them the possibility to see me as the partner, see me as the person who is involved, see me as someone who can trust. Because most of the time here in Latin America, especially with the indigenous community, people don't trust in the foreign people who came and start to talk to them. So the first thing is be involved in the project, and that gave me the gate of the opportunity to talk to them. So that very simple questions, probably for a woman who is part of an indigenous community, is very hard to tell. It's very hard to answer. But they already see me as a partner. So with question as how was water asset before the project, what changed after receiving the filter, what does water means to you as a woman and as a mother, are very powerful tools for me to tell the story. So I remember when I started to talk with Miss Modesta, and she gave me a very impressive quote, and she told me, "I am right now a guardian of water in the region." So we are talking about emotions, but emotion can translate to change behavior in the local level. Next. Well, it is what I said before. She say water means everything to me. As a woman, I have the power to protect it. So she right now became in the champion of our project here. Right now, she is the image of the project, and she represents all the things that we want to change. And when we're talking about behavior change and water security in the region. So we put in this story very powerful pictures, especially of her, in the community, talking with the people, using the filter code for the people that represent, when you're talking and when you write something, try to be very approachable to the territory. So if I see me as the part of the change and I see someone who looks like me, I will do the same. So that that will be for us a very important thing, because can scale up the whole things that we are doing right now with the filters. So also integrate powerful image, add data evidence, as I say, put how many filters we distribute, how many beneficiaries we have in the region, how many, or what's the percentage of the reduction on gastrointestinal illness. So we try to put in balance all the emotional things, talking about Modesta as the first person who shows to the people what's happening at the local level when they have the access to one small thing that is potable water filter and how that changed their life. But also we use very important data. So that's the key to us to show. What's the result? We have a very impact story, balancing the voices of the people at the territory and evidence. So that's very important for us as well, because that story we will share to our partners, we will share with our people who give money to increase the project in other areas. So one powerful story can be very powerful in order to increase the things that we are doing right now. And what I say that we start with in a small distribution of filters, but right now we are talking with private sector such as Pepsi or Coca-Cola or local municipalities in order to increase the project. And the way to do that is through the stories that we are telling. That's through the voices of the people in the region. So also a lot of local media start to ask us if they can go to the community, talk to the community, because they already see our story in our platforms. So it's not only the voices of the water, it's the voices of the people who change life through the things that we are doing right now. So, well, that's our thing here. As you can see here, Molesta right now became in the image of the project. So, and this is me with her. She made me part of her daily life. And well, it's all about trust. It's all about trust. We can tell a lot of stories with emotional things, but also the power of the communication is representing that picture. So thank you very much. Hear from me now. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. That was lovely. We'll have a few questions also at the end
Sure.
of this panel. Thank you. Okay, and now the floor goes to Sirin.
Yes. Hello,
Excellent.
everyone. Yes, I will share my screen.
You want to share your
Francesca.
screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Um,
Okay, so we release Camila. Thank you, Camila, for helping us. Yes,
um,
something had to happen. Ah, there you go.
you can see my screen? It's okay?
Yep, all good.
Yes. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are thrilled to present the Blue Crab success story, a remarkable example from Tunisia, showing how local fishers turned an ecological challenge into a model of sustainable fishing and community resilience. So before we dive in, let me introduce our team. I'm Sirin Bouafif, and I'm joined by my colleagues Dorra Maawia and Emma Derwish. We all work with the SPARAC, focusing on supporting sustainable fisheries and coastal community resilience. Together, we have worked closely on this project, and we are excited to share its story with you. So briefly, let me introduce the SPARAC. It's based in Tunisia. Our center works in synergy with 6 other Mediterranean thematic centers, all under the supervision of the coordination unit in Athens. Together, we strive to facilitate the implementation of the Barcelona Convention, which aims to protect the marine environment and the coastal region of the Mediterranean. So our mission is to assist Mediterranean countries in the implementation of the protocol concerning specially protected areas and biological diversity in the Mediterranean, which we call it the SPABD protocol. Our main areas of activity are protection and management of areas of particular natural value. Also, the establishment of the list of specially protected areas of Mediterranean importance, SPAMIs, and protect threatened and endangered species of flora and fauna listed in the protocol's annexes. So a brief overview of the most important FishUBM project data. So FishUBM MED is a regional project that promotes ecosystem-based fisheries management in the Mediterranean, helping countries protect biodiversity and ensure sustainable use of marine resources. The project involves 9 countries and is implemented by FAO and UNEP through their respective executing agencies, GFCM and SPARAC, and they are funded, of course, by the Global Environment Facility. So today we will discuss the blue crab's success story. In fact, the story of Tunisia's blue crab fishery illustrates how an ecological crisis can be transformed into a model of resilience, innovation, and sustainability. When the invasive blue crab first appeared in 2014, is devastated by traditional fisheries, shredding nets, and threatening livelihoods to the point where many fishers turned to destructive illegal trawling. However, with support from national authorities, international partners, and the GEF-founded FishUBM MED project, local fishers shifted to sustainable crab traps, turning the invader into a valuable export commodity. So our starting point was our technical studies on non-indigenous species and management measures within the SPARAC missions to protect biodiversity and the communities that depend on it. Our specific goal was to raise awareness about this non-indigenous species and sustainable fishing, and more broadly, the blue economy. So our aim was not just to highlight the problem, but to showcase concrete, positive solution to combat invasions. That's how we identified stories that could turn complex science into relatable and human-centered narratives. We first mapped the measures already identified in our studies. Then we looked for people whose experiences brought those measures to life. So our selection was guided by a few simple criteria. Firstly, motivation to share, tangible ecological or economic results, diversity of voices such as geography and gender, and of course, the potential for strong visuals. So we went into the field with community resilience in mind, but very often stories found us, like the blue crab story, which perfectly embodied this theme and gave us an authentic human entry point. So how we get in touch with these communities who benefit from the project? In fact, in Italy, we organized a workshop to present the results of our studies. What started as a technical event quickly became a space where powerful human stories emerged. So meeting directly with experts and stakeholders allowed us to hear personal experiences that data alone could never capture. From there, we amplified these voices through short social media videos that gave visibility to Anis, for example, Imen and Roxani, and through the IWL newsletter, where other stakeholders like Eileen, Sarah, and in this case, Mohammed, the fisherman, shared authentic testimonies across the Mediterranean. Specifically for this story, we already knew Mohammed Dehesh, the fisherman from Sfax in Tunisia, through his active involvement in civil society. And after discussing with the whole team, we agreed that his story was worth sharing to inspire other fishers like him. And to build the trust, we choose full transparency. We explained to Muhammad that our goal was simple, to share his positive experience so it could inspire other Mediterranean communities facing the same struggles. And because he had already seen the benefits of his transition with his own eyes, so he embraced the idea of becoming an ambassador for this solution, for this story. So we wanted his voice to be heard in the most authentic way possible, and that's why we met him where he feels the most at home, on his boat. There in his own words and in his native Tunisian Arabic. He told us his story freely. So our role was only to listen carefully, to capture the essence of his message, and to make sure it was faithfully carried across languages and borders. So how do we prepare for interviews, questions, storylines, and background research? We always prepare guiding questions in advance, following a simple storytelling arc. The before, so the preparation of the crisis or the problem or the issue, the planning, then the during. In fact, it's the change process where we prepare the conversation, the questions, and the last one, the after, or what we call the benefits. This way, the narrative naturally shows transformation. We brief the protagonist and do our background research. For example, in this case, on illegal kiss throwing, or the economic impact of blue crab, to ensure precise, relevant question. But we also leave space for spontaneity because genuine emotions and unexpected details are what we make a story really memorable. For us, visuals are not an accessory, they are the story. We begin with the video, defining the key messages first, and then we were working closely with the videographer to select the most powerful excerpts. So the video comes first, then the article later. The video conveyed emotion and immediacy, while the article allowed us to go deeper, adding facts, figures, and context. So together they formed a complete narrative. So next, we share our stories across Spark channels and through partners like FAO, UNEP, GFCM, and IWL, which gives them wide visibility. So we track, and then we track impact through engagement, comments, shares, views, and then we collect feedback from our network. So one powerful example is the blue crab story. It went beyond awareness raising, sparking discussions in other Mediterranean countries and reframing the non-indigenous species not only as a problem, but also as an opportunity for resilience and innovation. So what are the key rules for the effective project storytelling? So our first golden rule would be always find the human element behind every technical issue. Are people whose lives are affected and transformed. The second rule is to show, don't just tell, use strong imagery and direct quotes to bring the story to life, rather than just listening to project accomplishments. So another one point, the common mistake is to focus only on the technical aspects of a project without highlighting its concrete human benefits. So we avoid jargon and speak to the audience as if we are sharing a fascinating story with a friend. So that's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sirine. That was very inspiring. Thank you for sharing your time and dedication for your story, the story you shared with us, and the time you invested in the presentation, of course. And now it's the time to present Orange. Orange, I can try to share my screen now so I release Camilla. If it doesn't work, Camilla, it's oh, is it still not working from my side? No, amazing.
I can do it.
Sorry, Camilla. I think I don't know what I did to my laptop across this presentation. If you manage, it would be great.
Please.
Can you see my screen now? Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Am I audible? Hello? All right. So can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, Camila. So good day, everyone. My name is Orange, and I'm the Communications and Knowledge Management Specialist from the Jeff UNDP SA and IRBM project. First off, I would like to thank IW Learn for this invitation. And it is my pleasure to discuss with everyone my topic on telling stories from the field and building awareness. But before I delve into the gist of my presentation, please allow me to provide a brief background of the IRBM project. So our project is also funded by Jeff and implemented by UNDP Regional Bangkok and executed by PEMC Resource Facility. We do operate in 6 ASEAN countries, and I will be sharing one of the stories we developed in the Philippines and in one of our project sites, which is the Pasak Guagua watershed. Next slide, please. So our project aims to establish functional IRBM mechanisms in priority river basins of 6 ASEAN countries to reduce pollution, sustain freshwater environmental flows, as well as to adapt to climate change vulnerabilities. Okay, so the challenge for us development communicators is how we actually humanize technical content for a targeted audience. And it is our goal to put humanity or give life to the science through retelling the lived experiences of our partner communities. Next. Sorry, previous slide. Yeah. So, and to start with this, we need to put our audience first. What we have to think what we want them to feel and perceive after reading our stories. At the same time, we have to remember also that human stories are very important as they are tools to foster awareness and appreciation as to why we are implementing our projects, and in our case, why we are conserving our rivers. Next slide, please. So how do we find the story on the ground? For our practice, we usually partner closely with the local government and community stakeholders to gain access, build trust, and legitimacy before we go to the community. This means that we coordinate with them the logistics, we plan with them as well the interviews, and we do have a list of potential visuals that we already want to capture to be able to maximize our time on the ground. I'd also like to say that we fully immerse, capturing daily life from sunrise to sunset to be able to document the full ecological and community realities that actually make the story whole. Next slide, please. Now, on shaping the narrative, before we go to the field, it is best for us to identify visual and narrative keywords. And some of them are mangroves, women, crabs, nets, rivers, anything that you could think of to actually capture, to be able to translate that word into visual later on. And for our interviews, we do focus on the locals, their live experiences, their life along the river, some relevant gender themes and other intersectionalities. And also some of our interviews are, we want to say that they have been pre-coordinated because that allows us to maximize our time there. At the same time, we also want to have some flexibility to capture unexpected insights and emerging stories in the ground. Just like in this photo, I've learned that after they get the crabs from the nets, in order to preserve the crabs, they usually cook them before transporting them to the next town where they actually sell them to the market. Also part of, still in the same slide, sorry. Yeah, so part of shaping the narrative when we write our stories is to actually align our publication with global observances. Specific to this story, we aligned it with Women's Month and International Day of the Tropics. Next slide, please. Thank you. So because of how we actually tailored our narratives, we were able to boost our reach through the following publications and platforms. So we have here UN News, UNDP, Planet, UNDP Food Systems, among others. And of course, we have published this through the IWL Learn platform as well. Next. Now we move on to visual storytelling and editing. So as a visual storyteller, I'd like to layer visuals, or I'd like to use layers of visuals in our narratives. So it's a mixture of landscapes, portraits, details, and aerial shots that actually create depth to the story. And in putting up the story, the visuals are just as important as well as the words. And we make sure that every visual, every photo that we put is intentional and not random. Using the power of visuals, we would also like to hook the audience with impactful banner photos, just as this one, and some strong quotes from our interviews. Next slide, please. So this slide shows how landscape photos set the ecological context of the community that we are covering. And for example, we have here some birds flying around the watershed. And of course, that's your sunset photo. In one of our sites, we do also have a beautiful waterfalls, and we just show them the perspective, the landscape, so that this reminds us that, oh, these are the things that we have to protect or conserve through our project. Next slide, please. We also include portraits to humanize the narrative. And in capturing the photos with our protagonists, it's very important that we build trust first with our partner communities. And part of building trust is actually listening actively. We have to make them feel that their stories are actually valued and they are not just extracted, and they're not just for a certain number of reach or social media engagement. So on your left side, we have someone who has been weaving the fishing net in order to support her husband. And then at the upper part, we have someone who producing this pickle. How do you call this? Dampalit, that's what we call it in local. It's a pickle kind of vegetable that they sell as their livelihood. And then we have two women who do the who work in the materials recovery facility. So they would usually sort trash and rubbish, and they're being paid at a very low minimum wage. Like, we also like to zoom into details, and such as the following. We have your blue crab to highlight the species that actually are in the community. On your upper right, you also have the the way they do the how do you call this, weaving of the fishing net. And there's actually local knowledge tied to it. They make sure that they weave by 4 by 2 inches only, so that the smaller fish would be able to pass through. And that's actually a good kind of local knowledge to stop the overfishing of small fishes. Okay, next slide, please. And lastly, we include a lot of aerial shots to provide scale and perspective of where the communities are living and where our mangroves are and other species are actually thriving. Next slide, please. To wrap up, I have 3 points to share. And first is, through visual storytelling, we can actually bridge science and lived realities. And second, as development communicators, we use visual stories to show why biodiversity protection matters and why it actually deserves global attention. And lastly, we have to remember that stories don't just inform, as they inspire awareness and appreciation, and of course, shared responsibility. And before I end this presentation, I'd like to mention an insight that our communities, they already have voices. We are not actually there to put voice to them. We often hear that. They already have existing voices, and it is our role as development communicators to just amplify them so they spark change and create ripple effects that will be manifested in our projects. So thank you very much. Please flash the last slide. There you go. To learn more about the IRBM project, please follow us through our website and through our social media pages. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Orange. Thank you. This was a very insightful presentation, like the others we received. We do have a couple of questions, which I think it would be great to have, asked then to you and Emmanuel and Sirin. We can maybe dive a little bit deeper into then how you select the stories, because we saw how Sirin then had a very nice diagram on the selection of the stories, and also would you have maybe like a key tip on how then to identify the right person to specifically ask questions to? And this question can go to all of the three of you, if like you have another tip on top of everything that you've shared with us during the presentation, because I think it's very difficult to find that the person that can be, that has a story to share. Although, as Orange said, everyone does have a story. So I don't know if Emmanuel or Sirin or Orange also, of course, how do you say, okay, this is the person?
Sure, and thank you, Francesca. I think that sometimes stories find us. Uh, Most of the time, we are very, like crazy people who try to find the right person or the right story to tell. But when we go to the field and we start to see how the people act and implement the project, we can see all the power they have in their voices. So for my side, I can say that it's a lot of people who want to talk. It's a lot of people who want to say what they want in their territories, and we have to be very open. We have to be very sharp in order to find the right person to tell the story. And for example, in our side, when we're talking with Miss Modesta, she never have the opportunity to tell to the people how she feel. Because in this indigenous community, most of the time, women don't have the opportunity to talk. So she started to talk to me, and we built trust. And then she started to talk to the community. That was like a snowball. Who at first she saw me as a partner, and then she start to think that she can tell to the people what's happening with her in order to increase the um, the voices of the community. So, well, she find me somehow. So the story find me somehow. So and be the tool to give her the opportunity to be recognized, to increase the awareness, and to be the huge story that she is right now. So, as a communication specialist, we have to be very, open eyes all the time and see who can represent also the community. Uh, so, I think that that's my advice. Be very very open and be yes, just that, be open to the people that you talk to.
Of course, that's very good advice, as everything else you mentioned, actually, Emmanuel. Thank you. Cyrine, do you want to add anything? We have 15 minutes left of this. Yes.
Yes, I totally agree with Emmanuel. Stories find us not. We are not looking for stories; they found us. So for us, the stories are just aren't separate from the project. They are the proof of the project's impact. So we discover them by shifting our focus from the technical outputs to human outcomes. So I don't know if it's clear for you. So we are looking for community or individual who drove the change or were directly impacted by it. So we ask our national focal points in our case, and the other field experts and other stakeholders, and who is doing something interesting, who has a personal story that illustrates the challenges. Then we do our selection, and we ask ourselves, how can we show this, or how can we only tell it? It's a strong visual hook, like a fisher holding a disruptive blue crab that later becomes a source of income. It's often the sign of a story worth telling, as I said, the case of the blue crab story for the Muhammad, our fisherman in Tunisia.
Amazing. Yeah. Super. Thank you. Thank you, Cyrine.
Thank
I
you,
don't know if
Francesca.
Orange, thank you. I don't know, Orange, if you want to add anything, but I think you kind of answered this question actually thoroughly in your presentation too.
Yeah,
I just
I'm
want,
okay.
yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Orange, can you repeat?
Yes, it's okay. I think I've mentioned about it earlier. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was very thorough. Thank you, Orange. Okay, now we have about 10 minutes left of this webinar. We can use them in many multiple ways. One of them, we still want to have the Q&A at the end, so we're going to skip an exercise we were planning to do together with you all. What we would like to do though before the Q&A, which is going to take us maybe 30, 40 seconds, is to answer a few questions. I'll drop the link in the chat if possible, and then it's a link to a Mentimeter, which I really hope it works because we're having some technical issues today. If not, Camilla, I don't know if you can scroll down. Is there like a code if you click next on the slide, depending on where you're sharing the presentation from? Or there's nothing, Camilla, after this slide?
No, I cannot see. No.
There's no
In the
QR
slide?
there. No, okay, didn't tap. Because if I'm just gonna quickly test this again. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, we see it now.
Oh, so now my laptop, okay, the story on my laptop. And now this is the resolution. Towards the end, my laptop said, okay, now it's time. Okay, so this is a very quick link to a Mentimeter link that if you can, if I'm not wrong, you can go onto a page called menti.com. You can go on the page called menti.com or basically scan this QR code. I do hope this works. I haven't actually used Menti in a while. Let me know. Maybe if some of the team members can tell me if this works. And then I'll share the screen.
Yes.
See?
It's
Oh,
working.
okay,
Mhm.
good.
Yes.
So I'll just wait another minute to make sure that everyone can then log in. Super. Anyway, it's menti.com and you have to include this code, which I will paste into the chat, actually. Okay. And then now if I stop sharing this and I start sharing my Menti page, okay, then we should have, okay. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay. This we had to put together pretty fast because of kind of technical issues, which seem to always appear no matter what. Feel free to be, I mean, of course we would love it if you just take the last two options, but feel free to answer whichever. So it gives us some insights on how this webinar went. So we have a few cool. Yeah, I'll leave it a few more seconds. The faster we are with this, the more time we have to ask questions to our wonderful speakers today. Okay, I think I'll just proceed. We get a gist that this webinar apparently was it was well received. I'll just proceed to the next. Do you see the next question on your phones too? Hope you do, because I wish I had more devices, but I can only. Good. Okay, it's working. Oh, great. Oh, well done, speakers. You're getting very nice adjectives describing the work you've done. Amazing. Okay, I'll let it like a few more seconds before I move on to the next slide. Yeah? Okay, I'll move on. Next question. You could already see it. Okay, this is something I need to work on. Cool. Amazing. The last option was an other option, but of course I didn't manage to do it now. Okay, good. So we have an idea of what you would like to hear about, because we will have a media and journalism webinar happening in November. But then we were thinking with some of the people in this webinar that perhaps visual storytelling could be actually a very cool topic for another webinar. So if there's interest for visual storytelling, we'd be more than happy to deliver it. Cool. Anyone else that wants to say anything about, wants to drop his or her opinion? If not, just like a few words on what part specifically you liked, so we can maybe extend that one, or we can sort of change it for the next webinar. And then I'll give this 20 seconds and then time for Q&A. We still have 5 minutes. Great. Super. Amazing. Okay. Thank you all for taking part. Feel free, keep writing, huh? Emmanuel, you've been Very much appreciated. But thank you very much, of course, to Serena and Orange. Excellent presentations from all of you. Amazing. Cool. Okay. At this point, I will stop sharing my screen and then I will let the floor. Let me see how this. Okay. Do we have more? Okay, amazing. Cool. Now I think I stop sharing. Now I'm not sure what you see. Probably just the speakers or just the participants, all of us. So feel free to, share your face with the rest of the crowd. So we feel like we're more closer. We're closer to one another in a way, from Guatemala to the Philippines, all in one room. Hello to the Fishy EBM Med team. Now we have 5 minutes for Q&A. I saw some questions in the chat, but those of you who wrote them, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Erika.
Everyone, first of all, thanks for sharing all. I think it was. I have a question actually because.
Oh, Erika, I think I'm having some issues hearing you. I don't know if the others have it too, or is it just me again with the laptop?
Maybe. Yeah, I just forgot to.
Now it's a totally different story, just to be in line with the topic.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Yes.
Just my question would be because I work in a global project that has no country offices. So it's a pilot project, and we are still building awareness, developing the practical tools for the member states. So I would like to ask, like, which would be your best tips for finding and telling these meaningful stories in this context when you don't have field access?
Francesca, you're muted.
Jesus, of course I am. The one time I don't need to mute myself, I mute myself. Yeah, no, this is a very interesting question, Erika, and thank you for sharing it with us. Maybe, I don't know if Orange, Emmanuel, Sirin, and the team, you have faced this at the beginning of your project when you're still in the development. Did you manage to find stories then at the beginning in the first, let's say, year of the project, or because we're talking mainly about those benefits, but then it's true that at this point, at the beginning, it's harder to find the future beneficiaries of the project in a way. So do you have any suggestions and tips on how then can you focus the stories, maybe on the members of the project, on the motivation to deliver such solutions, shift the protagonist, let's say. But Emmanuel, Sirin, and Orange, you tell us.
Well, the first thing that I think that is very important is to be involved in the project. So as a communication specialist, we have to go to the field. So we have to see what happened at the field. And I will like to link this question to another one that I saw in the dashboard. Because most of the time, people who are in the communication area don't have the opportunity to be involved in the implementation of the project. So I think that's very important, that being part. Ask to your managers to being part of the project, to they implement the project, to that's the way to see what happened at the field. Not only to go to the camera and to take the picture and to it's very hard to do it in that way. So well, that's my advice. Be involved in the project, being part of the implementation of the project, and then you start to see what happened at the local level, what happened in the territory, and start to recognizing what the people who can be the most powerful voices in the field. So, well, for sure, at first will be hard to find the right story to tell, but once you start to go into the field and to start to talk to the people, you will find a lot of voices who will very happy to share our stories.
Orange, would you like to add anything, or Sirin, based on Erika's question? Thank you, Manuel, by the way. Sorry, just because I know we have literally like a minute left. Anything you want to add? And then the rest of the questions we have on the chat, feel free to keep dropping questions in the chat, and we can answer them later through like a post-event blog we're going to write. I'm sorry we didn't have too much time, but feel free to drop them or ask them directly via email.
Yeah, so thank you, Francesca. My take on this is to invest on in-house comms person to do the research. It's very important to have someone who are following what Emmanuel said. You have to be involved with the project, because having that deep understanding of how your project is implemented, that already gives you an edge on how to tell the story of your partners or your beneficiaries or your stakeholders. During the start of the project, it's not always that we focus on the impact of our project. Like, for example, the stories that I've shared earlier, we are still on the onset of implementing IRBM, and those are just realities on the ground, how their livelihood are affected when the river is dirty, or how they make do with the realities that are they face on a day-to-day basis. And again, it's also very important to, you are the one conducting the interviews and then the research yourself as the comms, but it's very important that you partner your field work with the local stakeholders that you have, and your, whether that's government or NGO, because they already provide a local perspective of what's going to happen and the realities on the ground. So yeah, your local partners are your windows to these kinds of stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Orange. Cool. Now, because we already extended our meeting, I see Konstantina has a very important question. No, that we should, I agree. I think we should have a group photo if possible. So if all of you could kindly share your beautiful faces with the rest of the crowd, we could take a quick screenshot. So don't worry if it would be faster and painless. So how do we, was it Vista Galleria? Let's see. Aha. I can see some faces appearing. We still have a few more to go. Okay, Camila, just support me on this in case I manage to make another technical mistake. I will also take.
Yes.
Okay, let's both take. Cool, you have 2 seconds to comb your hair. Good. Okay. 3, 2, who's not on, it will not appear with the face. We're not going to Photoshop it later. Camila, good. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have one. Okay, 1 second. This is very, okay. And another one, just in case, with the second group, because there's so many you don't fit. And then again, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, good. I think I'm done. Now I release you. Any last words? Anything anyone wants to say? Konstantina, anyone, the team, the speakers?
Yeah, I know we're 4 minutes over our time. A sincere thanks to all of you who participated in this workshop. An even bigger thank you to our speakers, Emmanuel, Céline, Orange. Your contributions have really brought this into perspective. Francesca, truly a big thank you to you, because you brought the science of why and how we're telling stories, and these were backed also by tangible examples from the portfolio. This is how we learn. This is how we evolve. Keep engaging with us. Keep sharing. I said it many times before, also in the IWC conference. Our heart is very much with communications. We very much support communications because you are the ones that bring the message out to the world. We may be doing the work on the ground, but you are the ones that will take our message and you will communicate the impact of our work. And if this is not properly communicated, we are missing a lot. The world does not know what the impact is, and then stakeholders are not aware of, donors are not aware of that. So, and especially in a time that when international development is, I don't want to say severely hit, but maybe it will be severely hit by budget cuts, making sure that the message and the impact of how these funds are being used to create impact, socioeconomic impact on the lives of people beyond ecosystems and shared water resources. This is in your hands. So, and this is why we're here to support you. Big thanks again, and see you in the next webinar. Thank you. Have a good day and a great weekend.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Ciao,
very
ciao,
much.
ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gracias. Ciao, ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you, Francesca, team, speakers. Bye.
Ciao. Thank you all.